For those of us that are just rejoining us because you didn't want to hear everything else and just want to see our Cam Ward draft profile breakdown, welcome back. You missed some fun things. B did a breakdown of Bears linebacker TJ Edwards. We picked our games of the week. I called B Bill for a second there, and we went on a tangent about Florida. Hi. Fun times. But with that, we're going to get to the draft. Cam Ward draft profile. This one was kind of interesting to me. I think this is the trickiest one I think we've done so far of the other ones that we have. And if you haven't had a chance to watch those, you could check them out. I believe either up here or up there. We will add the tag of the cards so you guys can click on them after and go watch them. We've done most of the top quarterbacks at this point, and Xavier Legette. With that, we watched the Wisconsin game for Cam Ward, an Oregon State game, and we had to end up watching a highlight tape for him because I didn't realize how tough it was to watch Washington State games. I don't know if they're like blocked behind a security wall or something, but I couldn't find them anywhere. And normally we can find the full games. So this guy, if you guys don't know his story, he was not highly recruited out of high school. He ended up having to go to Incarnate World, which is an FCS school. Had a really great playoff run with them, ended up being Sac State, and I think made it to the FCS either semifinals or finals. Before game, was it the finals? Yeah, I think it was the finals against North Dakota State where they lost.
Something like that.
Either way, so after that was offered an opportunity to go play at Washington State on a full ride, accepted it. First year was really exciting, great dual threat. Second year, topped his numbers. Everyone's really excited for him. Entered the transfer portal, but ended up deciding he was going to declare for the NFL draft instead. So with that, these are some of the pros, the cons, style comp, and draft grade that I found for him. I said that he had a great pocket presence. He had a quick, compact kind of throwing motion. No, it wasn't really a whole lot of, like we saw with, I think it was Caleb Williams where he passed the ball. It's just a quick, barely almost overarm throw. Mm-hmm. He's an accurate passer who throws with pretty good anticipation. I feel like there's quite a few plays where we are noting down where he was throwing receivers before they're getting out of breaks, a couple of wheel routes, a couple of outbreaking routes, just great anticipation from him. Wasn't really expecting that, but nice surprise. He's really good, I felt, in the short areas and throwing to out routes into the boundary a little bit. He's great at buying time in the pocket, has a great, like I mentioned before, a great pocket presence, but he's really good at just being able to do the little moves to escape and buy himself just enough time to get the throw off. He's definitely more of a passer than a runner. He seemed, I don't want to say reluctant to run, but you can definitely tell he was waiting till the last moment to run it. It was only if he had to. He wanted to be a thrower. He has really good touch. He has a strong arm to average arm. It's not going to wow you. It's not going to be a Drake May or a Joe Milton kind of arm. It's just he can make all the NFL throws. So, but it's not going to be something where you're like, wow, this dude, dropped a 70-yard dime kind of thing. He was definitely, towards the end of the year, seemed like he was more willing to test tight windows. The cons for him, he's not the most gifted athlete, which kind of surprised us because a lot of the talk going into it was he's this dual threat quarterback, he's mobile, he's a runner, and I don't think we got that vibe from him. I mean, against the Wisconsin game, he was getting caught by D tackles. He wasn't really outrunning people. He wasn't making people miss a whole lot. So he's not going to be a Lamar Jackson back there. He's not a Jaden Daniels back there, but he's definitely more like the Michael Penix Jr. kind of realm of athleticism. I said that he was not an aggressive passer. He's not really trying to push the ball down the field too often, besides the occasional, deep shot of, a fade or seam, whatever it was, but he's not, hitting a whole lot of throws in that 15 to 20 yard range. It was mostly 10 yards or less, it seemed like. Again, very accurate though. The offensive scheme kind of seemed to really help him get guys open. It was less of, like I said, a lot of screenplays, a lot of motioning and snapping on the motion kind of stuff. And then his tape, I watched the Wisconsin game first and then the Oregon State game. B, I know you watched it in reverse. Mm-hmm. The Wisconsin tape was a little underwhelming. And then the Oregon State tape, I mean, it really seemed to like become extremely impressive when Josh Kelly was getting more involved. I put that he didn't have a great deep ball. A lot of times he was just slightly overthrowing guys or slightly underthrowing guys. So I'm curious to see how he does against better competition. My style comp, I said he was Russell Wilson, a less athletic version of Russell Wilson, but a lot of the same kind of characteristics of a quick throwing motion, accurate, great at throwing on the run, kind of dangerous with legs, but not anything where you're like, we need a spy at all times against this kind of guy. Draft grade, I gave him like a mid to low third round grade. That's where I would, in a normal unbiased draft, that's where I would expect him to go. Now, does he actually go there? Probably not. I would expect him to go probably somewhere in the second, depending on how quickly that quarterback run happens. I project him to be a low-end starter, maybe a high-end backup in the NFL. But B, I'll let you take it from there. Tell us what you thought, what you saw.
Yeah, no, thank you for that breakdown. I pretty much had everything you had. This is the +1 that I have kind of a pro and then a con with it. I kind of liked how he can play within the structure. I thought he can see the field pretty well. But he also has the ability to like improvise when he needed to, which is the pro. And then like the con is like sometimes being creative and kind of extending around the pocket kind of got him in trouble sometimes. Again, it's a small sample size. You only watched two games, but I saw that he took a couple bad sacks with that, so it kind of tells me like the timing was off or the awareness, something was like off there. He also got like strip sacks in the Oregon State game too, which I noticed just from trying to escape the pocket and didn't really understand or feel that awareness of bodies around him. But yeah, man, I thought I think he's very sound. His footwork, his release is quick. Like you said, he has good arm strength, not Caleb or Drake May level. But against Oregon State, he did throw like a skiddy post, like a seam route that pretty much was like a broken coverage play, but ended up being a touchdown. And the air yards on that throw was around like 55. So, and you can tell the receiver kind of stopped a little bit. So that could be his like max. I guess you can say maybe he can push the ball like 60 yards, but it's still solid. I like the fact he can throw with like different arm angles. Like you said, he kind of has like, he never really goes over the top. I saw some sidearm action too a little bit with the short game, especially with like the bubbles and whatnot. Yeah. And then to your point too about not being as mobile as I thought he would be. Again, like he's not like Kirk Cousins back there, but I expect him to be more of a dual threat guy. I'll just kind of classify him as a mobile pocket passer. Like he can get out, like you said, like a Michael Penix Jr. type athletic ability, but definitely not like a Jaden Daniels. I think I saw on the Draft Buzz website that his 40 was like 4.8 or something like that. I think that pretty much tracks. If he can get a little bit faster during the combine, maybe that can raise his stock a little bit. I do see the same thing as you. I kind of gave him like a day 2 grade, maybe like a second round. But then during the pre-show, we were thinking like, well, if there's a QB run, what's his ceiling? I think he could be like a mid to late first round pick if like from now until the draft, he kind of kills it, whether at the combine, a pro day, whatever. There's always at least one guy that skyrockets his stock after like the season ends. So, all in all, I think he's solid. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not sure if he'll be a franchise guy right now, but of course, like it's always tough to tell until they actually play. But yeah, no, I think he was solid.
Yeah, I want to just bounce off that point. So yeah, solid's a great word for him. I don't think he did anything that really wowed me. There's nothing that stood out where I was like, oh my God, this, like what we saw with Drake May or what we saw with Michael Penix, the ball exploding out of his hand. Mm-hmm. It was never anything that was like, this guy, oh my gosh. I will want to add, I think the biggest concern I had for him was that he did seem to get to the right receiver and the right guy most of the time. But then there was also times where he would just, and these two incidences I'll point out really stuck out with me, where he just locked on and just, it took him too long to get off. So the first one was against Wisconsin. Actually, both plays actually against Wisconsin, which was kind of early in the year. So maybe he just developed out of it later. But they were in the red zone. They had a kind of, oh my God, what's it called? A mirrored play concept where, where the up receiver, this receiver on the line was kind of running more like almost like a stick route. Oh my gosh, my brain's leaving me here.
It's late.
It is late. So it was pretty much just we're going to have you run right to the middle of the field, sit it down in the end zone. I think they're about 10 yards out. Guy behind it runs a wheel route off of it. Kind of, if it's man coverage, it gets you a little bit of space for either the wheel to open up, or if the guy's off enough, you can hit the guy in the stick guy in motion, allow him just use his momentum to carry him into the end zone. Cam Ward must have like looked to the left, saw the corner was playing off, giving his receiver enough space for the stick route, predetermined he was going there, and went cool. And when he lined up to snap the ball, the corner came up and pressed, which pretty much just took that whole look away. You're not going to win that route against press coverage. There's also, I think it was a safety who was sitting right behind him about 5 yards off, which was taking away the wheel route. Upon snapping, what I would have liked to have seen him do, because again, it's not Madden. He can't freeze frame it. But once you look and see, oh, this isn't there, I would like to have seen him come back quickly, because on the other side, on the wide side of the field, it did work out that way, where the receiver was running by himself, and if he had just gotten to him quicker, he could have delivered a ball, and it would have been a touchdown. Instead, what happened is the D tackle ended up getting pressure before he can get back, bailing out, and I think he ended up running for like a 2-yard gain or something like that. But it's just a matter of he just lingered on it just a little bit too long. It's not Madden. I understand that you're going to still look and like have to see it, but once the receiver's getting carried 5 yards, you could probably come off of and go, okay, this isn't opening up, and get back to the other side and deliver that ball on time still. The other situation where this came into play was, I think it was a quarter later, Wisconsin was in a man defense, which a great concept against that is a mesh route. So you have the two slot receivers, usually tight end, receiver, whatever it is, run about 5 and 6 yards across the field, high five each other is the usual coaching point for that. And that usually will free up one of the guys because they'll outrun the defender who has to go over the other corner, to stay in coverage. Wisconsin dropped 3, had a quarterback's. I'm sorry, Wisconsin rushed 3, dropped a spy, had 7 in coverage. And I don't know if it was just a bust in the concept, a bust in the route, whatever it was, but for some reason there was a guy to carry both meshers through the mesh point. And instead of recognize that as it was happening, going, okay, cool, I still got these guys on the other side waiting, instead of getting to his back, figuring, hey, there's no one to pick up my back as he's coming out of the backfield, he ended up just trying to run, got to it late, and eventually had to just throw the ball. But if he had recognized that quick enough and delivered it to his back had plenty of space to outrun the guy who was having to sit here and hold the mesh. If what I'm saying makes sense. Yeah. It's hard to.
So he's kind of staying on like reads too much, kind of too, and just like not going boom, boom, boom through his like reads and whatnot.
Yeah, like he had what would normally be the right answer, because again, that's a mesh concept. That should be a man beater. But once post snap, he's not reading as quickly as he is pre-snap, if that makes sense. He's not.
It does make sense.
He's not recognizing, hey, what I saw pre-snap is no longer there. I need to get to this next spot. And those are both the incidences where he didn't do that and ended up what could have still been a positive play ended up becoming a negative play or a neutral play. So that's the biggest concern I have from him. That can hopefully be cleaned up. And I did see that a couple other websites had that same concern as well. So I know it's not just me thinking that, but you guys tell us what you think. Is that a major concern? What do you think about Cam Ward? Head down to the comment section and let us know. Give us a like and subscribe. We do this every week. We have a whole playlist full of our other draft profiles. You guys can go watch that as well. But until next time,